This is Algebra 1. This is Chapter 4.1. Today we're finally talking about slope-intercept form. And so we are going to talk about slope, which is rise over run, the change in y's over the change in x's, which again on the last quiz, some people were still putting the x's over the y's, and having a y-intercept. These guys, this is what it looks like. Y equals mx plus b. Slope-intercept form is where m is the slope, b is the y-intercept. I'm not 100% sure why they use m and b, but I know that when we had the slope formula, it always started off as m equals. So therefore, m is the slope, b is the y-intercept. The really cool thing about it, guys, is that when I have slope-intercept form, either I'm given a slope and intercept, I can write an equation really efficiently, quickly, or if I'm given the equation, you should be able to look at it and say, hey, there's the slope, there's the y-intercept. Now, I'm a little weary of the way they present information up front here, especially when you get down to our examples here, where they give you a slope and an intercept, and the first thing they want you to do is write the equation. Because if that's the case, you're really happy and really excited the fact that you can do this really quickly. But the one thing I don't necessarily like is the fact that it says the y-intercept's 3. Now, if I say the y-intercept's 3, we should all recognize or realize that that means that it's crossing the y-axis, like here, at 3. But a y-intercept, guys, is a point. And so really, if you want it to be correct, or more correct, you would write 0, 3. A y-intercept of 0, 3. Guys, it's really cool. It's really cool for the fact that you don't necessarily need a y-intercept and a slope to draw the graph. You just need a slope at any point on the line. Because at that point, you guys can use slope to your advantage. And if you remember when I was talking about slope, slope as a what is your friend?
Fraction.
Fraction. Because that'll give you a rise over run. Now, if one of them is negative, you might fall before you run. Or you might run, rise, and then go backwards, right? So there's a couple of different combinations. A negative out front, you go to the top or to the bottom. And don't forget that I like to generally see a forward slope and a backwards slope, right? One in the forward direction, one in the backwards direction. I want to see at least 3 different points. If you can connect those 3 of the straight line, you know you're doing things right. So, here's a cool thing. I'm given a slope, I'm given a y-intercept. Can you write the equation?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, to write the equation, you need to use slope-intercept form. Yes? Which means you need to write y equals mx plus b. So automatically, guys, I should be seeing this. Write it in slope-intercept form, write slope-intercept form down. You guys, maybe when you get to Algebra 2, I will let you not write that down. But if you get in good habit of doing things the right way, you would write it down anyways. It's amazing how many times people mess up slope, which is the change in y over the change in x's, because they put the x's on top. Why? Because they don't write any formula down. They don't write any words to recognize that if I rise, which means if I rise, I'm moving in the y direction. If I run, I'm moving horizontally, that's an x direction. Just by putting a few little things, it would prevent you from making the mistakes. So at some point, when does it become, oh, that was a simple mistake, to I really just don't comprehend a mistake? On the test or quiz, yes, people are still making those mistakes because they're not writing it down. Now, here's a cool thing. You wrote down slope-intercept form. You now can place things in the right place. M is negative 1/2. X plus 3. Done.
Wow.
And here's the cool thing, guys. We used something else like slope. when we did direct variation equations. But all direct variation equations went through what? Where did all direct variation equations start? At 0, 0. And then we went up and over, right? With that k value, was their slope. In this case, I need to start at 1, 2, 3, 0. And now I'm going to go down 2 over 1, which was there. I could also go up 2, but back 1. And if you notice, that forms a line. I want 1 in the forwards, 1 in the backwards. Try part B on your own. You should have this by now. What should I do first? Ashley?
Write down the slope-intercept form.
Yeah, write down the equation. Eli, what are you going to do?
Would it be y equals negative 3 x plus negative 8?
I can do plus and negative 8, or can I just minus 8? I think it's a little bit cleaner just doing minus positive 8 or minus 8, which is fine. And if I wanted to graph this, I put a dot at negative 8, right? 0, negative 8. And I get to go up. No, I go down 3, right? Because it's not a fraction. I make it a fraction. I'm going to go down 3 over 1, which would be here. Or I can go up 3, but then I have to go back 1. Notice both of these lines are falling down because both of the slopes are negative. Yes, I think so. The next one, guys, is what if they're already lines? You can see these are lines in what form?
Line form.
Not line form. What form is this? Standard form. And I think if you guys saw this and I asked you to graph it, you guys should be like, not a problem, Mr. Konchak. Because I know if I saw this and asked me to graph it, I would rather graph it in this form than in slope-intercept form. Because I could go and use cover-up method. If I put a 0 in for x, I cover it up, and I can solve for y. Divide both sides by negative 4. Y is equal to negative 3.
Good job.
If I cover up y, because I put a 0 in, x has to equal 4. That's pretty easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Finding our x and y intercepts, we have a line that's graphed, yeah? But that's not what it wants us to do in this problem. It wants us to rewrite each equation into slope-intercept form. Then graph it. So I want it to be in y equals mx plus b. What's so special about y equals mx plus b? How is that different than 3x minus 4 equals 12? Okay, I'm going to write down what we need. We need this. How are these differ? How is this different? Y equals mx plus b different from the equation we have now? The end result, guys, is going to give me the same line because I'm not changing the equation. And I'm going to show you that in a second. But how can I make one look like the other? What's the difference?
Slope-intercept slope-intercept is equal to y?
Yeah, it's equal to y, guys. Slope-intercept form is solve for y. The original problem is solve for 12. Not the same. I need to turn this and solve for that y right there. So it can look like this. So it means I need to get y by itself. To make that happen, subtract 3x from both sides. So people would be like, oh, that's negative 4y equals negative 3x plus 12. Hey, I got slope-intercept form.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Why do I not have slope-intercept form right now? Lauren.
Because y is being multiplied by...
Yeah, I'm solved for negative 4y. I'm not solved for y. It's not y equals, it's negative 4y equals. So therefore, I got to get rid of the negative 4. And if I get rid of the negative 4 by, instead of negative 4 times y, I need to divide both sides by y, or negative 4, sorry. So I divide both sides by negative 4. I now have y equals, it's negative 3x divided by negative 4, which is actually 3/4 x. 12 divided by negative 4. There is your equation in slope-intercept form. Hey, where am I starting? 0, negative 3. Isn't that right here? Slope tells me to do what? Go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and run. Oh, look at this. It's the same equation.
Why couldn't we have just...
So the same thing would happen for part B. Solve it for y, and then you can graph it. Guys, don't graph it in standard form if you don't want, because it doesn't ask us to do that. The reason I did that is to show you that it does give us the same line. There's benefits for both of these. I think a lot of times you get a better looking graph if I use my x and y intercepts. But other times I can't use my x or y intercepts because it doesn't come out to an answer. The next thing we want to talk about are called constant functions. A constant function is a function whose output value is the same for every input value. And it's always in the form of y equals 0x plus b. There's no slope. It's a horizontal line. And so if I have 0 times x, which is 0, I don't have to write it. I just write it as y equals b. So y equals the y-intercept, which means it's a horizontal line at the y value it's associated with. Now, taking a look here, if I wanted to make a quick little table, if I put in negative 1 for y equals 5, what's the y value? Y equals 5. If I put negative 1 in, what comes out? What's y? It says equals 5. If I put in 0,
5.
the y value is equal to 5. If I put 10 in,
5.
I get 5 out. Guys, go to make this graph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 0, 5 is there. Negative 1, 5 is there. This is at 10. 5 is there. It's a horizontal line at y equals 5.
So
Part B, though, it says 2y equals 1. What do I need to do there? You need to solve for y. And so divide both sides by 10, right? No, it's 2. Just seeing how many people would agree with me. So y equals 1/2. Guys, at this point, if you see y equals a number, you don't need to make a t-chart. You just need to know that you just go here, like this. Here's 1, there's half, it's a horizontal line at a half. Boom, you're done.
That's it, you don't even have to make points.
No.
So awesome.
Now,
Sorry, my
Notice-
brain does not go as fast as your guys.
notice on the bottom there, it does say that vertical lines have no slope. When we say not doesn't have a slope, it's called undefined, right? We did that on the last quiz or 2 ago. It has an undefined slope. Therefore, vertical lines cannot be written in slope-intercept form. They're not y equals anything. Vertical lines, on the other hand, are x equal, I'm going to call c. It's not in this lesson. But this is how easy this one is. If I said something like x equals 2, I just go to 2 on the x and draw a vertical line. That's all x values are 2. Does it matter what y is?
No.
No. So 2, 0 works. 2, 5 works. 2, negative 500 works. X equals and y equal lines are very easy to do. There's almost no thinking involved. And the last problem we're going to talk about is talking about the band boosters are selling sandwiches for $5 each. They bought $1,160 in ingredients. I want you to write an equation for the profit P made on N sandwiches. I want you then to graph that equation and then find out how much money do they make if they were able to sell 1,400 sandwiches out of that amount of materials or ingredients. Guys, this is a very much realistic type problem. I think we've all been to a football game this season down at our stadium, and the band boosters are selling hot dogs, pizza, and sodas.
Those are boosters.
Are they there to lose money?
No. They're
Are they there to break even?
No, they're there to
No, they're there to make money. And so they're going to sell it for more than they bought it for.
Probably double.
And so, you think about it, this is going to allow anybody, at least for this situation, to know that if they have certain costs associated with making things, that they also make so much money per item, they can put it together in an equation to find out when they're losing money, when they're making money, how much money will they make or how much money they'll lose given certain circumstances. So, I'll let you guys think about this for a second. First of all, though, before I let you guys think and write an equation, we're not using x and y, are we?
No,
We're using
N.
P and N, where P actually would be the what?
Profit.
The profit. If I was using x's and y's, the profit would be the y value, the outcome, where N, the number of sandwiches, is your x or your the things that you're changing. So I'm going to leave you at that for a second. I want you guys to all come up with your own equation to figure out how much money they make.
Actually,
Will, what is your equation?
My equation is P equals 5N minus 1,000.
P equals 5n minus
I'm as smart as you. Minus
1160.
There we go.
Why is this the equation? Ashley. Say why, not is it?
Because if you don't know the number of sandwiches, so when you multiply that by 5 and subtract the number that they bought, that gives you the profit that they actually.
Why?
What
Why?
do you mean why?
Why is it multiplying by 5, subtract out 1160? What do these numbers represent, guys?
Because 5 is the amount they are each. So if
Of
you
what?
multiply that by.
Of what?
Okay, so think of it this way. 5 is the amount that you're making off of each sandwich.
And 1,160.
What you have here is a fixed cost. The fixed cost is you've already spent $1,160. What changes, if I sell one sandwich,
I have $5.
you made $5, but yet you spent $11.60, so you actually are losing $1,155.
Don't you have to work it off then?
So you're going to have to keep selling and selling and selling. Hopefully you have enough to make your money back.
I have to sell like over 200.
So, here we go. Now it wants you to graph this. But if I use this idea of graphing using the slope-intercept form, couldn't I start way down here at negative 1160?
Yeah.
You could.
Or 0, comma? Now this is really a bad graph right now because that can't be a right scale. Because if I went up just slope, it'd be 5 over 1, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
How the heck am I going to show going up 5 over 1? Because it wouldn't be like this, would it? It'd have to be really small, right? Because you think about it, the y scale is going to a negative 1,160. Going up 5 would not move that very far at all. But then, should I go by ones on here?
Go by.
Whoops. I wouldn't go by ones, maybe hundreds, maybe 50s, right? So maybe this might help if I go by 50s. In this case, guys, I probably would make a table because I don't think that this would be a very good one to show the rise over run multiple times. I mean, it would work, but you would have to have one impeccable graph to make this thing work beautifully to be used. So, if you made 0 sandwiches, how much profit?
Did you say sandwiches?
Sandwiches.
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 What's a sandwich?
Okay. How much profit did I make? 0 of them sold.
Negative 1,160.
It's a negative 1160. What if I sold 50 of them?
You would make,
Put it on the calculator, guys. Let's figure this out. Don't all reach for them.
Okay.
happy now?
Okay. We filled in a table with 50, 100, and 150. So now we can start to plot these.
Oh, there's a,
So I got about 11 tick marks going down, down the y-axis, and each one going across, so this is all 100. The other ones are going by 50s. So 50, negative 910 would be somewhere about here. 100. This would be about here, whatever, about there. And 150 would be somewhere about there. It's not perfect, but you would see this graph, right? Technically, I don't know if we would even necessarily put an arrow on this side, even though there is one because of the equation. But it wouldn't make sense in this case because you're not on making sandwiches, are you? You can't have less than 0 of them. You start at 0. So, obviously you can see the more of them we make, we start to make some money, right?
yeah.
Eventually you hit here. What does this point on this graph represent?
Breaking even.
The break-even point. The x-intercept of this graph would be a break-even point. The last one, if he wants to make 1,400 sandwiches, how much money does he make, or they make?
A lot of money.
So you plug in, and you end up with how much profit? $5,840. Whoops, wrong place for that. $5,800.
Gosh, thank you, actually.
But that's a lot of sandwiches, right?
That's, I'm pretty sure
Now,
I'm not going to sell them.
how could I also pose the question of how many do they need to sell to break even?
They need to sell
232.
What would their profit be at break even?
0.
It'd be 0 profit. So in that case, when does 0 equal 5 and minus 1160? Add 1160 to both sides.
It's funny.
I don't think after that.
And then divide by 5. 232 equals N. chapter 4.1, page 219. I want 1 through 16 and 71 through 79. Have a great day.
Thank you.
We get through this week on Friday. So therefore, hopefully by Monday morning, Friday after school, whatever, everything be done. There'll be nothing that 90% of you should have to turn in. The other 10% or so that still owe me stuff, you're due by 19th. And if it's not in by the 19th, don't turn it in. This is one time I'm firm. I am not going to take anything after Monday. If you guys are going to do the extra credit video, that's due on Saturday.
No later than 12 o'clock.
No later than Saturday.
When that's